Action, episode 15 of season 6. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Coop. You can check me out on Instagram or Twitter. Check me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on Twitter at Mr. Grumpy Gills. We are the Side Action Podcast. You can obviously check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Side Action Pod, at Side Action Podcast. And welcome. God, we're getting so close to Christmas. Like, you're already slicking your hair back already. That just tells me that we're getting closer and closer to something important.
This is the Riley look. You know, you got to look clean cut. But yeah, Coop, I'm in Philadelphia right now. Company party week, which is basically 3 days of drinking. It's a lot of fun. As I told you on the pre-pod, there's a blind barber here in Philadelphia. Had some random chick come up to the table and ask if I wanted to dance. So, you know, we got things going, and then the next thing you know, there's 30 people on the very small dance floor. So, you know, as I said, I start the fire small, and I go big.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice.
You know my moves. You see my moves occasionally. So,
Castaway.
One more
it's not even ludicrous anymore.
That's right. You said Wegsicarus, but anyway, tonight is actually the big party. It's a luncheon. Starts at 1. It'll go till about 5. Then the after party, and then the after party, and then I fly out about 8:45 tomorrow morning. So,
well, don't miss your flight. Whatever you do, don't miss your flight.
What was funny is 4 years ago, my boss is one of these I get out of town fast guys. Like, he's on the 5:30 flight today, p.m. He only goes to mandatory, get the hell out of here. The first year I did this, I booked that, but I was having the time of my life. I mean, it's open bar, but he's having a good time. Then there's an after party. I'm like, oh shit, this is fun. I'm not leaving. I changed my flight. I'm like, change my flight. Then I get a hotel. And we were at a hotel at the time, and I got the 7 a.m. flight like an idiot. I had to get up at like 5:30, 5:40, 5:15 in the morning, and I was just still like, you know, cottonmouth, drunky. It was bad. So I've learned my lesson. At least I do the 8:50 flight or whatever it is. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've had that experience in college where we flew for nationals, like the national tournaments end of the year and stuff like that. One year is in Nebraska, and we got knocked out like halfway through the second day. So, we had the rest of that day just to kind of deck off and do whatever. So we hung out with some of the other teams, and a bunch of us all went back to the hotel room. Well, luckily one of the guys was local, so he had a bunch of edibles. You know, we took some edibles, hung out the rest of the night. We took one more before going to bed because like, oh, we'll just get a good night's sleep. Well, we forgot that we had to be at the airport at 4:30 in the morning because we had a 7 a.m. flight. And that was a fun morning at the airport though. Everything was hilarious. There was like a group of 6 of us that were just giggling like schoolgirls, and everybody else was just pissed off because they didn't want to be awake at 4 a.m. So I've been there before. It's a good time.
Yeah. So anyway, we've kind of gone up to current day, but pretty fun weekend last weekend. Hit Holiday Club twice last week, buddy. Both on Friday after the karaoke, and then on Saturday. Why the hell would we do that last week? I don't know. I was doing so much stuff. There were parties. There was a party in the Alley. I don't know if you know Allie. She was my teammate during the summer. We played a couple tournaments together. She moved into Urzel place, so she had a housewarming thing. So I popped in there. Then I went to the suburbs, came back to the city for Holiday Club. And then I saw Christmas Carol on Sunday. Yeah, it's like a man about town. I need a break. I'll tell you what's growing. Not my bankroll, but my gut. My gut is getting big, Coop. There's gonna have to be a reckoning where I'm, a juice cleanse or something. So, how was you were in Ohio for was a poker tournament or something?
No, my grandfather turned 80. Yeah, that was on Saturday. Right. We played a little poker on Friday night, but yeah, it was a good time. Trying to think, what have I done since then? Nothing really. I mean, it's been a pretty chill week. We had bowling on Tuesday like normal. So the boys are back. Your boy finally shot 700. It's been a long time coming. So yeah, shot 263 the first game, and I shot 274 the last game, and I had a come to Jesus moment at the beginning of the second game. So I only shot like 180 the second game. So we're not going to talk about that too much. Still a little
So
still a little
274,
irked
what's
about
that?
that.
That's like everything but like one spare or something. Is that like a strike and
So
everything's a strike spare?
yeah, it's a goofy score actually. So what I did
Mhm.
that game is the first three frames I struck every frame. In the fourth frame, I left the 3-6-10, which is the three pins on the right past the head pin. If you're looking at that triangle, so I made that spare, and then I struck all the way until the last ball in the 10th, which is technically the 12th one. And then I think I got 6 or 7. We had won the game already. I had won all the bracket money at that point, so I was just throwing the ball to be done. So I wasn't too worried about the score at that point. So, but yeah, no, we finally got the monkey off our back. Hopefully the next stop is 800. That'd be kind of cool. So I'll have to figure out what their house record is. Maybe we can shoot for the house record. So, but no, bowling, and then this weekend should be a good time. Pumped about our holiday party. Still pumped that you won't be there. I'm still disappointed, not pumped, but you know,
I'll be there
we
in
live and we
spirit.
learn.
You gotta sing. You gotta sing a little Backstreet Boys or In Sync or something. Whatever. I know you're good at other songs, but you're gonna have to conjure Jimmy Wegs for one song and get the group going. And maybe do a stupid dance. That's kind of all I do. I don't really have much
Yeah.
singing skill, so
Who started the
there will be
fire?
some karaoke at the after party tonight. I have to decide if I'm gonna sing after my voice obviously is an octave lower, but we're good. So
What a
let's
wonderful
jump into
world.
it. Exactly. Let's jump into it, Coop. I actually put some shed stuff. I actually had some elements here, so I'll jump in. Who am I taking to the shed this week? Well, let's
Yeah,
just
who
the
are you?
selection committee. We don't have to go into great detail. Everybody knows it by now, but obviously Florida State went undefeated this year. Nobody's going to cry tears for Florida State. They've won some titles in their day, but the SEC love continues. You've got Alabama with one loss in. You've got, Texas obviously has one loss, but they beat Alabama. Obviously, they wanted an SEC team in regardless. Georgia, they lost in the big game, as you predicted. So now you've got, Florida State. I understand they don't have the quarterback. I get it, but it's just crap. So I'm taking them to the shed. Everybody knows it's a bad system. That's why I'm going to 12 teams now. But they almost got lucky where they didn't have this situation for the first time in a while. But yeah, sorry, SEC. I mean, come on, committee. You're in the shed.
Yeah.
Get in.
No, it was definitely a flawed system to begin with when we have 5 power conferences and only 4 spots. So it never did make much sense to begin with. So, but I guess at the end of the day, it's all about the moolah. So, let's see here. Taking the shed. So we're going to start with the Chiefs. We're starting. It's not very often you get to take the Chiefs to the shed, but man, did they look like just average, I guess is the best. They look so average on Sunday Night Football against the Packers. I mean, the first drive of the game, they literally took half the quarter away. The Packers did when they had the ball. So here's a fun stat for you, by the way. Coming into the season through Mahomes' career, the Chiefs had scored less than 20 points 6 times in any particular game. Do you know how many times they've scored 20 or less this year?
20 plus this year.
No, 20 or less. No, 20 points
Or
or
less
less
this
this
year.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what they're 8-4 now. I would say they've scored 9 times.
No, so 5 times this year they've scored 20 or less. So they've almost
Huh.
matched the mark that they had coming into the season in Mahomes' whole career. So you can
Yep.
definitely, I think that stat is very telling of how broken the offense is right now. And I just thought that was interesting. So I think we should take the Chiefs to the shed. They have a really big game this week against Buffalo, which we'll get into, I'm sure, in covering that.
Yeah.
The second team we're taking to the shed is Iowa. Iowa football. We're taking them to the shed. They lost 24-0 to Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Shout out to the Big Ten West. They were 0-10 in championship games with an average margin of, I guess, loss by 24.5 points. So also this year, fun Iowa stat, they had 1,000 more yards of punting this year than they did offense. So they ranked 133rd in the nation this year in offense, which is dead last for those of you keeping track at home. And they had the first ranked punting team in all of the country. So shout out to Iowa football. They're doing well.
Did you hear about the Coop? Did you hear about the bar in Cedar Rapids that
Oh yeah, it was offering
basically
free
said
drinks if
it would get free beer until Iowa
Iowa
scored.
scored.
So it's not clear if they're still offering that right now because they haven't scored. Play a bowl game for a while. So that bar, I mean, I don't know if they're supposed to be going in the Dub Club or the Club Dub or the Shed there, but I mean, at least the patrons are at least in the Club Dub. But
Oh man, could you imagine stutter just stammering home that night? I couldn't even imagine. It'd be tough.
well,
That'd be really tough.
Four Shadows would never do that. Of course, they could have done that too, but
That's fair. We're also going to take Oakland to the Shed, by the way. So I guess the A's. We're going to take the A's to the Shed. So not only did the city of Oakland lose the Athletics, the baseball team, but they also are picking fourth in the draft this year. So they had that awful, terrible season. I think they won only 45 games or something like that. And they're not even going to get the first pick out of it. So they're actually picking fourth, which we'll get into Club Dub about the other picks here shortly. And then yesterday, we're going to take the PGA Tour to the Shed. John Rahm signed to go play with Liv. There's not an exact number yet, but it's rumored anywhere between 450 million and 600 million. So, yeah, good for John. John and little Rahm and Mrs. Rahm, and they're going to be just fine. So shout out to them. But yeah, we're taking the PGA to the Shed. It's just losing more and more credibility, and it's just it's tough to see.
they really showed that Live Tour who's boss, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. They really won that publicity battle that they were fighting.
Yeah. Well, how about Club Dub? I know you probably got a few people. I'm sure I'm going to go first. Well, I've got Debo Samuel. I mean, he is on one of the squads, but more importantly, this dude on 7 touches. He obviously looks healthy now. 7 touches against Philadelphia. He gets 3 touchdowns. One was a reverse for a touchdown, 22-yard run, and he's got a 48-yard slant that he took to the house that he broke 4 tackles, and then it was a screen pass for 46 yards, and I mean, it was almost all yards after a catch, but he's amazing. 3 touchdowns for Debo Samuel. Looked great, and obviously just dominated the Eagles secondary in the mostly the second half of that game.
Yeah, you'd say he's a poor man's Tyreek Hill, maybe.
Yeah,
Kind of in a way.
yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
the way, watching them play offense, it looks very familiar. It's almost like, wait a minute, is this? So I think I texted you Monday morning too. Schematically, that'd be a great Super Bowl matchup. Would be Dolphins and Niners, just to watch them mirror each other. But we're gonna start with the Bengals in my Club Dub. So they had the first Monday Night Football road win since 1990. So shout out to them. It's been almost 40 years or 30 years now since they've won on Monday Night Football on the road. So they're 6-6 overall. Jake Browning had a really good night. He had I think he had 4 incompletions or 5 incompletions the whole night. So shout out to the Bengals. They are in Club Dub. We're also going to put Devon Achane in Club Dub. So he's had 9 touchdowns from scrimmage in 6 games this year. That's the second most in NFL history in a 6-game span. Do you know who number 1 is?
A 6-game span?
Yeah, to start their career.
This is NFL history, or is this just recent history here?
No, NFL history, specifically to start their career, the first 6 games. He's had 9 touchdowns. There's one person that's had 10 in NFL history. Can you name that person?
LaDainian Tomlinson?
You're close. It's actually Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson had 10 touchdowns in his first 6 games to start his career. So shout out to that. We're also going to shout out to the whole state of Ohio from the baseball sense. So I don't know if you saw, but the Guardians got the first pick in the MLB draft lottery coming up, and then the Reds were second. So the Guardians had a 2% chance to get the number 1 overall pick, and the Reds had a 0.9% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. So Cincinnati actually jumped from 12 to 2, and then I think the Guardians jumped from 8 to 1. So just to give you the top 5, you've got Cleveland, Cincy, Colorado, Oakland, and then our beloved Chicago White Sox picking 5th. So just to round out the top 5 for you there.
Yeah, thank you.
And then the last 2. So also going to put the Lakers in Club Dub. They beat the Pelicans last night, but they beat Phoenix the other night, and they actually only shot 37% from the field in that semifinal or the quarterfinal game they played against the Suns the other night. So it's actually. Do you know who leads the NBA this year in field goal attempts made in the fourth quarter? By the way.
I have no idea.
38-year-old
You mean
LeBron
team or team
James.
player?
No,
What's that?
player.
What's that?
Yeah. So LeBron
No, I
leads the
don't.
league in shots made in the fourth quarter this season. Just fun stat for you at
Oh,
38 years old. Yeah.
good for him.
So, yeah. Okay. And then the last team we're going to put the Arizona Coyotes. So this is a little quirk that I found the other night on Twitter. So they're 5-0 in their last 5 games, but they're the first team in NHL history for a 5-game winning streak to be over the previous 5 Stanley Cup champions. I don't know if you saw this or not, but
Wow.
they beat Washington, St. Louis, Tampa, Colorado, and Vegas all in a 5-game span, and those were your last 5. I don't know if that's like a scheduling quirk or I don't know how the hell that even happened. Like it's just amazing that he was even on your schedule. But yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was fun. But they went 5-0, so Arizona's on the up and up. They've got the Diamondbacks, they've got the they've got the Sunshine, and then now they've got the they've got the Coyotes.
I think
So yeah.
Coyotes too.
Yeah,
Nice.
Club
Nice.
Dub is jumping this week. We've had a lot happen. We've had a lot of victories to
Tough job.
celebrate this week.
We need to get a second floor or a fourth floor or wherever we're at with this club because it's needs to be large. Can we get a speakeasy going? I think we need to get a speakeasy
No.
within Club Dub to have an exclusive section, but
I think
it's
we're
okay.
gonna franchise
It's okay
it.
to
It's a franchise. We're gonna start popping them up everywhere.
That's right. Like Blind Barber. All right. So obviously we have one college game. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we got to acknowledge the guy went 23-4-1 or whatever it is, 29-4-1, whatever you're at now.
Yeah.
You're like at 95% in this year. I'm hoping you put in an addition on your, apartment there with all the cash. You came in with Michigan covering the spread, shutting out Iowa, and then Alabama won outright, as we kind of mentioned before, over Georgia. So nice work. Yeah, how are you going to celebrate? You going to do a little victory lap, or are we going to double down in the bowl season?
No, not yet. It's not victory lap season yet. Maybe we'll we still got some work to put in. It's been a fun ride. Excited for the people. That's who I really do it for. At the end of the day, I really just do it for the people.
It's for the people.
It's for Art, especially, because Art's the one that shouts. He's the one that follows and pays attention. So shout out to Art.
That's going to be Tom McAfee. That's what he said. Get you Pat McAfee.
Maybe.
Well, I guess McAfee doesn't great on picks, but
his underdogs, his super dogs this year have been really good. But yeah, everything else is okay. But maybe I definitely have a better beard than he does. So we at least got that going for him. They're going for us.
That goes without saying, right? I mean, give me a break.
But yeah, the only game we have this week is Army Navy. And you know what? Just out of the spirit of it, I think we're gonna go Army. They're actually riding a 3-game win streak going into this game. They started beating Air Force is what started this streak. I think Air Force was ranked at the time. I don't know if they still are or not, so forgive me on that. But I like Army. They actually have a little bit more of a balanced attack. Most of the special forces you'll see kind of just run the old spread, wing T offense, the little triple option. So
sure.
I think Army's got a little bit more balance than what Navy does. So I think they actually might be able to have to complete the ball when they have to. So, but no, I like Army's physicality. I like their triple option a little bit better than Navy's. I think they're a little bit bigger. They block a little better. So we're gonna go with Army. I know they're favorited. I think they're -3. So we're gonna take Army to win and cover. I could see them make maybe 24-14, 24-17, somewhere in that area. I would think. So, but no, we're gonna ride with Army this week and see what happens.
Yeah, I think they, Army's got that style. It's usually a game script situation. So as long as they don't get too far down, they can just grind that clock down to nothing. So it's not exactly the prettiest football, but there's definitely something there. So
no, it'll be cold. That's all I know.
Yeah. Now, we can talk more next week about the bowls, but I mean, how do you approach bowl season? Because it is a little bit different than the regular season. You've got a lot more motivations. You got a lot of players that sit out. Do you wait till not the last minute, but I mean, do you kind of just stay away from certain matchups versus, because you don't know what to predict. Sometimes I'm like, because I do a bowl pick 'em thing and I got to pick every game with confidence and everything. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, this team, blah, blah, blah. And then you look and none of those guys are playing today.
Yeah. And
that's a bad decision.
And I think sometimes location has a big factor, just kind of like the NFL too. I mean, I think the NFL it's a little bit less just because they're more adults and they've seasoned, they're traveling and stuff like that. But like
That's
one
true.
example, I know Miami, Florida, like they put the Hurricanes in Fenway Park. Like they have to go play in Fenway in like 3 weeks. And I'm like, it's like December 26th. I'm like, it's going to be 20 degrees in Boston I'm sure that week. So I'm sure the kids from Florida are not going to be motivated to go out there and play in that cold of weather. So
All right.
just maybe little nuances like that. I always like to pay attention to. Obviously, like you said, whichever players are sitting out is always a bigger factor in my opinion, because it's players, not plays, at the end of the day. So,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
but like to your point, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head too. But I like to kind of like the NFL, like to get in early, just because those numbers are going to adjust. Obviously, the closer we get to it,
Sure.
and you can usually find a little more better value the earlier you get in. But yeah, I like underdog season too for bowls. Just to your point, the motivation factor with the transfer portal, you're getting a lot of those guys that probably that haven't played this year, but they actually get a chance to play in the bowl game because there's so many people sitting or leaving or whatever the
Sure.
case may be. So it's roster depth's also another big factor in my opinion.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we'll get into it.
Okay,
I'm
well,
sure.
yeah, let's jump into the NFL now. Obviously, I just updated it because I've been too busy having a good time, Coop. I can't keep up with a statistician. Our intern didn't show up this week to work, so I gotta do it myself. But
Gotcha.
hey, overall, you've got the home road splits. The road teams, they really kick butt this week, 8-5. I remember when I was talking to Action last week, we were trying to pick games. He was like, "I don't know, we're picking too many road teams." I'm like, well, this week it was how it worked, and it wasn't exactly the same split, but we did have 8 favorites come in this week again. So favorites 2 weeks in a row. You just use the Coop method, and you'd be okay. 8-5 this week for the favorites, and then another weird trend is like reversal, right? So the overs, 9-4 to the over this week. It's been a little bit bizarro world in the NFL. Usually that's not what happens, but maybe it's just a market correction over the course of the season. And so 9-4 on the overs, and we had a couple games that hit this, that the spread mattered. Obviously, we talked about the Thursday night game last week, and then there was another game. So, on the season, it's still about 13.5%. But yeah, you got to be a little more mindful. I think the numbers are getting a little tighter for the spreads, and you got to make sure you're picking the right side and maybe looking at some of the spreads nowadays. So overall, and then when we look at us in a contest, well, we're 6.5 back of the money. That's the most important thing. Top guy's about 70%, and you don't listen to these guys, but the VSiN guys are doing really good in these contests. One of the guys we listened to, the guy I met in Vegas, Paulie Howard, is one of like 30 left in the Survivor contest. So it's getting real. They also interviewed somebody this week. It was her last name's Hearns. I know that. I can't remember her name, Jessica or something. Really beautiful girl, who's in the Survivor contest, and it turns out she's like Thomas Hitman Hearns' niece or something. Not that matters on how she can pick games, but she started off where she had whatchamacallit. She had 10 entries, which is 10 grand, and she picked the Lions on every single entry week 1. So a little bit lucky maybe, but
Yeah.
she won and advanced. But anyway, she's in the top 32, so that's kind of cool. And one of the guys that runs all the stats for VSiN he's the number one in the pickup contest. He's the only guy at 46 wins, so he's kicking
Of
ass.
course. Yeah, the analytics guy. Shocking.
But what's funny is like it is funny. Normally those guys don't do that great because it's some point. So we'll see that there's only 5 weeks of the season. It's the last quarter. We have a chance to at least make some money in the quarter, maybe make a colossal run. But this is where like you said, the last few weeks the NFL gets a little goofy. Who's playing for what? They playing for
Yeah,
draft
who's
picks. They
hurt?
playing for deal. I mean, as we mentioned, Cincinnati won last week. Nobody expected them to beat Jacksonville. Whatever. So.
Yeah. I think we have 8 backup quarterbacks starting this week, 8 or 9. Yeah, it's crazy. So God knows at this point. Like
Exactly. It's a watered down version right now of the NFL. So in our picks last week, we went with Atlanta. They did cover this game. It wasn't a great game. It was, 13-8 is not something it goes back to the 1950s offense in this one. The Jets scored a safety in this one, so that was not a touchdown. It was 2 field goals and a safety. Falcons did just enough to win. They did win the turnover margin because they got outgained in this game. The Falcons did, so they got 3 turnovers in this one, and they did cover the 2 points. So 13-8. Thanks, Falcons. You finally covered a damn game. We did pick Pittsburgh. I think you mentioned that Pittsburgh, run first, but a lot of this was Kenny Pickett. This game kind of turned on a couple of plays, not plays, but Pittsburgh's up. There's 3-3. They're going in to score. They go for 4th and goal. 3rd and goal, Kenny Pickett gets hurt and he's out, and they get stuffed at the 1 at 4th and goal. And then Arizona goes on a 99-yard drive.
Yeah.
It's to score the touchdown at the end of the half, and that kind of flipped the game 10-3. Trubisky didn't do that great, but Connor over 100 yards. We didn't talk about Connor revenge game, but he had a really good game in this one, and Arizona won 24-10. Apparently, they don't want that. Well, they can't get the number 1 pick anyway, but they don't want the number 1 pick at this point.
No, it really wouldn't bring any value to them. Oh, and by the way, real quick Jets stat for you. Did you know the Jets defense has scored more safeties in the first quarter than the offense has scored touchdowns this year?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a fun stat for you. So just let you know how good that Jets defense is. So
I feel sad for them. So I don't think even though Aaron Rodgers is now designated to return, or he's in the window that he can return, I don't think he's going to return, but we'll see. But we got Carolina. I think you picked this one too. Carolina was getting 5.5 in our contest. It closed at 3.5, so some people knew something was going on. And so in the end, we got the win. They didn't win the game outright. They had a chance. It was kind of close, but that, they don't really want to win Carolina, even though they're giving up their 1st-round pick. But what can you do? They didn't do the read option like we talked about last week, but it didn't really matter. Tampa did get the win at 21-18, but it was that backdoor because it was 21-10, and then they scored a touchdown with the 2-pointer to get within even the closing numbers. So they were one of those. That was one of the spreads that didn't winners that didn't cover the spread.
Yeah, no, that was a good game.
Yeah, and then your Cleveland. We talked about it. Joe Flacco, man, damn it. I thought he played pretty good, but
yeah, and then
late in the game, a little pressure. He played very well in the first quarter. They had a good first drive. They had the game at 21-19 in the 4th quarter, but then the Rams just kind of wore them down and got a couple scores late, and they're in playoff contention. The Rams now at 6-6. So the Rams won the game 36-19, covering that 3.5 in Cleveland. 2 weeks in a row, man. That road cover they couldn't get done for me.
Well, that defense is starting to look like it's like they're human again. So they
yes.
Yeah, no, like you said, Joe Flacco did look pretty good, even though his completion percentage was only like 55 or 57% or something like that. But yeah, I mean the Browns offense actually looked pretty sustaining there for a minute, but yeah, it looked like he was pretty safe. And then we get down to the country time in the 4th quarter, and he finally let one rip, and he just it looked like he overthrew him. I think he overthrew him just a hair. Like it wasn't that bad of a throw, but just a tough time to have it. So
right,
we'll see.
And then we talked about the San Francisco game a little bit. They did win pretty easily in this one, 42-19. The game was kind of weird. I didn't get to see the game as we talked about. I was like, I was watching Christmas Carol. But San Francisco, like in the first quarter, didn't look good, and Philly stuffed them. It was 6-0 at the quarter. I think they had like -4 yards in the first quarter or something like that, and all of a sudden, Shanahan just threw out the original game plan and like started going, sneak attacks, reverses, wide receiver screens. The next thing you know, they just housed the Eagles in this one.
No, absolutely. The biggest thing that I took away, and we should have known this, is we should have definitely looked farther into this. But that was Philadelphia's 3rd game in 15 days. And the San Fran hadn't played since Thanksgiving. So they had 10 days off. So we definitely should have seen that coming. Like that was just a complete ass kicking in the second half. Like it didn't even look like Philly was like at their full strength and like even ready to play in that second half. So we as a podcast definitely missed on that. We'll do better moving forward because, we should have known.
I
Yeah,
told
but
you the pick.
we should have that should have been like the mortgage the guaranteed mortgage lock of the week though or something.
Okay.
So
Put your retirement fund on this game. I don't know if I
yeah,
do that on the podcast, you know.
the 401k game of the week. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. 401k. Don't listen to the disclaimer at the end of this podcast. But yeah, put your 401k on this. So your Beaver Nation, you're starting to pull up. You're getting over 500 a little bit now. You know, so you're starting to pull up here. So you talk about
Yeah, a little bit.
your fins. Your fins up.
Yeah, never a doubt. Our analytics department came through because I don't know if you remember, but I told you that Washington gave up the most big plays of 20 yards or more in the NFL, and Miami's really good at 20 plus yards plays. And right away, that
Said
showed
that.
like in the first quarter. Yeah, I think like the first drive, Tyreek Hill caught 2 long touchdowns. So defense looks good. Van Ginkel is gonna step in for Phillips. Hopefully he can play as well as Jalen can. He actually had a pick 6 in this game, so maybe he's better than Jalen. He can actually catch the ball when the quarterbacks throw it in his hands. So, but no, other than that, the defense is coming along. Sam Howell, I think, had 2 rushing touchdowns, so shout out to him. He's on the fantasy team, but yeah, other than that, I mean, the Dolphins look good. We won't know about the Dolphins until they they beat somebody that somebody actually cares about. So maybe the Cowboys in a couple weeks, or and then the Ravens. I think the week after that, I think they go Dolphins, or excuse me, I think they go Cowboys, Ravens, or maybe there's a team in between there. But yeah, we're gonna find out more about Miami in the next couple weeks for sure.
You did say it's important they get the 1 seed, but they've played okay on the road too. I mean, maybe not against top teams, but against the lower teams, they've been able to take care of business. And then you mentioned the Chiefs game. Obviously, that didn't work out for you, but I was just ribbing you on Monday about Jordan Love and his ascent as the greatest quarterback of all time in Green Bay.
Yeah, you might as well start building the statue now. Honestly, that way it's done by the time he's ready to hang him up. So, but yeah,
I mean, I gave him some credit. Everybody was dogging dude. I mean, I know you were saying that too, but it was like he was, he's playing within himself. He's playing solid. He's got great weapons though. He's got really good receivers.
Yeah, no, the Wicks, Dante Wicks, I think he's a really good wide receiver. Do you know where he played his college ball at?
I think you're going to tell me.
Oh yeah, he actually played in Virginia. I was hoping you'd at least throw a guess out there. So, but no, he's from Virginia. I think his junior year he was really good because Virginia, that was the one year Virginia was actually ranked in the teens. I think like 17, 18. I don't know if you remember that a couple of years ago. But and in his senior year, he did their offense fell apart. They had a new quarterback and they were just trash. So that's why he's on the Packers now. Is he was projected like a second or third round pick his junior year, and he stayed, and then he fell all the way to the 6th round. So. He's really good, like you said, to your credit. But looks like Matt LaFleur has got his guy. I mean, he's like you said, he's playing well within the system. They look balanced, which I think is always key for good teams, especially teams with younger quarterbacks. That balance is good to keep defenses on kind of on their toes, if anything. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's undefeated. LaFleur's undefeated in
Yeah, they're
December.
16-0. Yeah, 16-0. Crazy.
So we'll see if that continues. But I mean, what can be said? Let's move on to this week. Obviously, I really did great work here on the injuries and storylines. So let's just cover what I do remember. Kenny Pickett, obviously we mentioned he hurt his ankle. He's out. Probably a bigger injury, we kind of glazed over it, is Trevor Lawrence got bent over backwards. It was an ugly play. Mind you, he is a fantasy starter on a team I need to win this week, so he's out. At least for this week, maybe a couple weeks with that ankle, and that's really important. I mean, they lost the game against Cincinnati. They had a chance at the 1-2. I don't think they're going to have it now. They could even lose the division. So that was a big injury that came through. I know Derek Carr has a concussion. I don't know if he's going to end up playing. Usually those guys don't get cleared. Who else? We got Ramondre Stevenson missed the game last night, but they apparently didn't need him. What else we got for injuries and stuff?
That's what I'm looking at right now.
I was going to say, you got Zach Wilson back in there for the Jets. I mean, he's moving the line too.
Yeah, did you see that? They went from +6 to +4. Just wild,
So,
wild
I
stuff.
don't know. Is he that important to the line? Apparently he is.
Justin Jefferson should be trending to be playing this weekend for everybody who's interested in that.
That's right.
Cardinals not important. Drake London. Oh, sorry, wrong London. No, never mind.
Christian Watson also for Green Bay. I'm not sure if he's going to play. He was like having a monster game, and then it looked like he was going to slide to keep the clock going, and then he grabs his hamstring, pulls over. I'm like, this guy finally is catching fire, and now he's back on the shelf. But
Jonathan Taylor, I believe, is still out for the Colts.
yes.
He's got a hand, and then Joe Flacco should still be starting for Cleveland. DTR still hasn't cleared concussion protocol, which is strange. It's been a while now. It's been like 2 weeks, eh?
Yeah, it looks like Derrick Henry's supposed to play, but he actually had a head injury too. So, but I think he's okay. It was listed as a head, not a concussion. So whatever that means.
And they play Monday night, so he's got a little bit extra time.
Yeah. Well, last night we missed the first game, but that's obviously Pittsburgh was a 6-point favorite at home. The total was rock bottom 30. It was the lowest total I heard in the NFL in
I love the
25
over
years.
too.
Of course, you should, and they did go over. More importantly, the Patriots scored points. They hadn't scored over 10 points in 4 weeks. So I did tell Ridgeway to take Pittsburgh just as a straight up. Unfortunately, sorry, but I did have the side in the contest for me. So anyway, they closed at 6-point favorites. They lose the game outright, 21-18. Pittsburgh's going the wrong direction, bro. I mean, I know we thought they were kind of a lock for the playoffs, but now I'm not even sure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of conflicted because I hyped this team up so much on this podcast in the beginning of the season, but my heart feels so good when Pittsburgh's playing poorly. Yeah, it's good to say. There's only the 5 people that can hold me accountable to my opinions, but no, I mean it makes my heart feel good as to watch the Steelers kind of regress. Honestly, it makes the soul feel good. So no, I mean they look pretty suspect last night when you got Juju Smith-Schuster, running all over, just doing whatever he wants, basically. I think he was the only one that had close to 100 yards in that game last night. So, yeah, they definitely are turning in the wrong direction. There's, TJ Watt hasn't really shown his head in the last couple of games. He's kind of been invisible. So I don't know if the defense is just having trouble or, but they're definitely losing. They're losing juice.
Cam Hayward's back, and they're still not stopping the run. So it's like, it's like, oh, we didn't have Cam Hayward. We can't stop the run. You can't stop the run with him in there. It's just the run fits are not there. And so we'll see. Well, let's go through the games now. We do have a fairly full slate. There are 2 teams on bye with Arizona and Washington. So early games, you've got Houston at the Jets. As you mentioned, it opened as 6.5-point favorite for Houston. It's down to 3.5, what I've seen in the market. Totals at 33. I don't know why Zach Wilson moves the needle so much, but it's tough. I love Houston. I've always been on Houston for a long time, and even last week we ended up not. Did we take them in a contest? We might have taken them in a contest. I mean, I just like that team. They keep covering. They're not as good on the road, but they're definitely better than the Jets. We hate the hook on this podcast, but I still may stick with it. I don't know. One of the things I heard this week that matters, I think, is that Houston runs the same defense as the Jets. They may not be as good at it. So this could have an advantage for the Jets because they practice against it all the time. But I also think it helps Houston because the Jets' defense is so good, theoretically. But if they run the same system and they're used to seeing in practice, it may help Houston score. So I still like Houston minus a 3.5.
Yeah, I think Houston's going to be able to run the ball. They have Dameon Pierce is finally healthy. They have Singletary's back there. They don't have Tank Dell anymore, too. I don't know. We forgot to mention that in injuries. I still have a lot of questions about why he's even in that formation for that run play on the goal line to begin with at 170 pounds. So the man is 20 pounds lighter than I am, and he's lining up, behind the lineman to block, which makes no sense. But I digress. But I think it's going to be a big loss for them moving forward because him and Nico Collins, he's been helping Nico get open, not getting doubled all the time. So, or when he does get doubled, Tank's been taking advantage of that. So, I think Dalton Schultz is going to obviously become a lot more prevalent in this offense moving forward without Tank Dell. So for you fantasy people, if he's still available, I'd definitely pick him up. But I'm with you. I like Houston. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to control the flow of the game. Zach Wilson doesn't even want to play. So how his teammates are even going to support him or how they even feel about him playing, they're probably not going to be very motivated to play. I just think that it's a dumpster fire. The Jets are. I don't know what you could do. I don't know how you could see this team coming out and playing well. But me saying that just
maybe
means they're probably going to.
right. Maybe a good bet would be Jets defensive score or safety. Like TD or safety, because that's the only team the only side can score. So
Yeah, in the first quarter even.
Yeah, next game is Tampa at Atlanta. This is now a big division game. Tampa's only like a game-ish back in this terrible NFC South, but Atlanta, I think, with this win, can kind of cement the division more or less. I mean, still, they need to play the Saints one more time, I think, but this line started at 2.5, is down to 1.5 for Atlanta at home, 40.5 point total. I'm a little confused by the line. I'm not sure why Tampa is getting a little love in the marketplace. Not that I love it, Atlanta per se, but they did beat them last time on the road. Maybe Atlanta didn't outgain them or something. Maybe that's what people are thinking. But I've been against Tampa for a couple of weeks now, and I think I'm going to line up against them again, especially at this number. The number I had was 2.5, so now that's down to 1.5. I think there's some value with Atlanta.
No, I'm
Don't
with you. I
cry.
keep going back and no, I know, I know, right? It's such a moving game. I get emotional talking about these games, but no, I keep going back and forth because I don't know which defense is going to bend but not break more. It seems like,
Yeah.
obviously Mike Evans is probably going to make his stamp on this game. I can see Jesse Bates. He's been hot lately. He's had a couple good weeks in a row. He's had, I think, at least a takeaway by himself. So, man, this is tough. This is kind of a loser leaves town game in my opinion too. Because to your point, yeah, if the Falcons win, I think they'd be 2 games up over, both of the Bucks and the Saints. But if they lose, they'd be tied with the Bucks, and then the Saints are only a half game back if they win. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take Tampa because I think Vita Vea, I think they could maybe stop the run. They're going to make Desmond Ridder beat him. Usually that helps you out when you're playing against Desmond Ridder. If you could make him beat you, I think that's going to go in your favor. So I don't feel confident about either team, but I guess if I had to pick one, I'd rather have Baker than Desmond. So I think Mike Evans might make the play. Hopefully Chris Godwin makes a play because he's on my fantasy team and he's been invisible. So maybe he'll show up.
He had a touchdown last week, right? He had a touchdown last week, didn't he?
Yeah, rushing touchdown. He plays wide receiver.
Hey, it scores the same way, baby. Well, how about this game? Rams at Baltimore. This game's up to 7.5 point favorites for Baltimore at home, 40 point total. They're coming off the bye. I don't like the hook. We always talk about that, but I think Baltimore's going to destroy this team this week. I think the Rams have played pretty good for a few weeks here, but they're going all the way across the country. Baltimore should be able to see the 1 seed is in play for them as their division has fallen apart. So it's a big game for them. I don't love 7.5, but I definitely would lay it with the Ravens here. They're in my top 5 this week.
Oh, really? Okay. I love the hook this week. I would take the 7.5. I would take the Rams. I think the only reason why is you're getting an experienced quarterback, and I think this might be Sean McVay's best coaching job. So I think even though that Ravens defense is playing at a very high level, I think that I don't know. I doubt the Rams will win. I'm not standing on this hill that the Rams are going to go to Baltimore and win, but I do think 7.5 is a little too much. I would have it probably closer to 4 if I were to make lines. But yeah, I like the Rams. I think they might be able to run the ball a little bit with Kyron Williams, be able to control the clock a little bit. Maybe even the flow of the game, just a pinch, just enough to cover. Like I said, they're not going to probably win, but I do like the Rams. I think the number's a little bit too big this week.
It is good value for a 40 point total. I mean, that's basically saying Baltimore's going to roll them, right? And the Rams aren't going to score much. So maybe you're right. I mean, you might be onto something. It's definitely more value.
Tyler Higbee might be the guy this week. So
that's right. How about the Detroit going to Chicago? First of all, Coop, I'm going to the game now, so we can't watch foreshadows. I'm going to the Bears game Sunday. Yep.
I thought about going too. It's funny you say that.
Well, if you go, let me know. Meet up somewhere. But Lions, this number's been floating between 3.5, which it is right now for the Lions on the road, between 3 and 3.5. 43 point total. The contest line is actually 3. I've liked the Bears all week here, even though Detroit got off the schneid and actually looked pretty good, at least in the first half, the first quarter for sure against the Saints. They kind of shellacked them early, but let the Saints come all the way back as I was waiting for one of your epic rants like last week because I know you bought in on the Saints when they were 21-0. So, but anyway, I digress. I think I still like the Bears here. I'm not saying that Jared Goff, he's gotten over the bugaboo being like a non-outdoor quarterback, but it's going to be a windy, kind of crummy day in Chicago. Bears defense is playing better. I'll take the points here. 3 or 3.5. I will take the Bears.
See, I like the hook again. They've been playing, and they've been able to stop the run.
Yeah.
The Bears have the last 3 or 4 weeks. So
Yeah.
I think the X factor in that game is probably going to be Sam Laporta. I think if Detroit wins, it's probably going to be because of Sam Laporta. If they lose, it's probably because they didn't get the ball to Sam Laporta enough. So the tight end is definitely the they're going to take advantage of this.
5 times.
Yeah, well, that too. That could be. But I think that's the way you take advantage of Bears defense, just because I think they're going to be so committed to stopping the run. The play action game, I think, is going to be the key for the Lions. If that's working, I think it's going to be a long day for Chicago. But I like like I said, I like the hook here. I think I'm going to take you. I'm going to take the Bears on the side. I think the half a point's going to make a difference. I can definitely see it. Like the weather is going to be a factor. It's going to be in the 30s, and like you said, I think 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. So that might come into factor. I could see a tie here. I don't know about you, but I could see a tie. I hope I could see a tie happening here. So, but I like the hook this week.
Tie's fine. We get the dog in the tie. That's fine.
Yeah, well, we might be able to bet on the tie. That'd be even more fun. Maybe we should do that.
It's like soccer, the three-way action there.
Yeah.
We all like three-way action. I know you do. All right, don't tell Callie. But anyway,
Right.
So let's go Colts against Cincinnati on the road. This is a weird line because Indianapolis is 1.5 point favorite right now in the market, 43.5 point total. But Circa's got this game at a pick, so I'm not sure. I think it was a 2.5 initially when it came out, so it is going the way of Cincinnati after that performance on Monday night. 1.5 is not a great number, It's, either side to lay or to pick up. So it's not like it's a huge line there, but it's interesting that Circa's 1.5 off the market. So this is going to be the Jimmy Wegs stay away of the week, guys. You'll flip a coin on this one. Cincinnati looked pretty good and they played pretty good last week. Indianapolis is in the playoff hunt. They need the game, but you tell me. I don't know what's going to happen in this game at all. No idea.
I don't either, but I think I would actually take the Colts. I think Michael Pittman might be the difference. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you trust Jake Brett? Do you like Washington State more, or do you like Washington more? That's basically what it comes to. It's kind of the Apple Cup reborn in a way, if you think about it. That's what this game is. Yeah, it's nice little Apple Cup NFL edition. So I would take Indy. I don't really like this game either. This game is you just have no idea, because you could definitely see it going either way. So that might be a tie game too, honestly. I could see that. I could see that game ending in a tie. Seriously.
This is your tie of the week.
Yeah, presented by Men's Warehouse. But no, definitely take Indy. I think Zach Moss has a good game this weekend. I think Indy's gonna be able to run the ball. Their defensive line, I keep bringing this up, but their defensive line is abnormally tall. They're just big dudes. So they might be able to knock a couple passes down, maybe a tip or a pick six that way. I think might be a difference in the ball game. So
funny though with Cincinnati, as you mentioned, Browning had a great game, but it's amazing when you just throw the ball to Jamar Chase. Usually works.
Well, when he gets tipped to Jamar Chase, that helps too.
Well, that did help too, and then don't let Tyler Boyd throw the ball. Okay.
Yes.
He threw it right to that.
Right to Josh Allen. Staring right at. I was watching the Manning cast too. The best part was Peyton's on there. He's I totally forgot they don't teach these wide receivers to look off defensive players when they get ready to throw passes. And it was just so funny because he was so mad. He's like, the Bengals have all this momentum. Why are they having Browning is catching heat? He's on fire right now. You're gonna have wide receivers throw the ball. What are we doing?
Yeah, they had 2 wide receiver passes in that one.
That's funny awesome. You mentioned that.
All right, so the Jags are going to Cleveland. This is an interesting ball game, as you mentioned. It looks like Flacco's going to get the start. I didn't update this in the marketplace. It's 3.5 now for the Cleveland at home against the Jags. The Jags will be starting C.J. Beathard. We didn't mention that. Total's down to pretty low, 32, so they don't expect a high-scoring game. All right, I know this is a weird angle on this one. It's kind of hovering on the top five. I'm not sure I can go with it, but I got to go with the Jags. They got to win this game. So does Cleveland. Both teams need to win, but I don't know. Something's wrong with that defense in Cleveland. I'm not sure what's right. I don't think they can lay this many points, even though they should be the better team. But I don't know if the number moves that much with Jacksonville. They're also 6-0 on the road. I know that's with Trevor Lawrence. I get it, but they've got
A couple London games in there too, I think.
Yeah, Christian Kirk also is hurt. We didn't mention that. But if Etienne is still okay, I think they're going to be able to move the ball on Cleveland. And then the defense, God, Jacksonville's defense was terrible. I think it's at home. When they're at home, they're getting too much home cooking. They're like fat and slow, but on the road, they play focus. So I take the Jags plus the 3.5 here.
See, and I like they're getting. See, it's tough. See, I'm gonna say at 3, I love Cleveland. At 3.5, I like Jacksonville. I don't know, man. This is so tough. Again, we're picking between C.J. Beathard and Joe Flacco. I mean, we just have so many good choices to pick from here. It's so tough.
This could have been Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, but then you got Beathard and Flacco now.
Yeah, man, it could have been a Clemson off. We could have had the battle of the Clemson quarterbacks. God, that'd have been something.
That's right.
Man, I keep going back and forth on this one too. There's so many good like loser leaves town games with backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
See, I could see Cleveland's offensive line dominating and then being able to run the ball though, because I mean the Bengals look like they had a pretty good. It wasn't Joe Mixon, it was Williams. I can't remember his first name, but Williams had a good game rushing. He actually looked like he had some juice to him for the Bengals as well. So I could see Cleveland wanting to lean on that and run the football, and I could definitely see them take it. So I'm gonna go Cleveland. It's gonna be a nasty, shitty day in Cleveland. It's gonna be cold. It's not gonna be fun. C.J. Beathard, outside of Kyle Shanahan, has looked like ass, and I anticipate that he didn't even look good on that field goal drive they had, honestly. So
well, and he almost got hurt on the first play. Like, I don't know if you saw, he kind of almost got hurt on the first play, his wrist. I'm like, they had no other quarterbacks. It was like, who are they going to put? Just ATN and the Wildcat?
So I like Cleveland. Joe Flacco hopefully is not going to throw a stupid interception, or at least I would call it maybe stupid, but hopefully, we don't get to that point where you have to throw that 50-50 ball and it goes the other way. So I'll take Cleveland. I hate the hook, but I'll play the hook and see what we can get as far as that. I could see, like I said, I could see the physicality of Cleveland taking over here for sure.
Yeah, well, hopefully they show up again. I mean, they've been playing on the road. This is, they had 2 in a row, so maybe it'll be home cooking. Yeah. Let's go with Carolina and New Orleans. It's the last game in the early slate. Carolina, maybe they played a little better in the dead cat bounce game, but they still didn't win the game. New Orleans, is Jameis starting this game, or is it going to be Carr? Do we know?
Great question. Keep talking. I'll let you know.
Look that up. 38-point total. I'll tell you right now, I can't back New Orleans ever again. Not that I did last week per se, but I don't like this team. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Carr. Maybe it's whatever. They've got enough talent. Lobby's great. Kamara's great. The defense has played pretty well, but for whatever reason, you cannot have Derek Carr lay numbers. I can't do it. It doesn't mean I'm back in Carolina per se, but it was Carolina or pass here. They're definitely not going to be in my top 5 in this one. So, and the Saints have to win, so it's a must-win game, but I don't know. I can't trust Derek Carr, especially if he starts, and Jameis is a turnover machine. So it's Carolina or pass.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like the number for Carolina, but then I still think about game script, and I just don't know how the world Carolina is going to move the ball. Just because the Saints defense they were better in the second half, but I just don't see Bryce Young having a good day throwing the football against this team, especially in New Orleans. Like you said, they have to win that game. I think Dennis Allen is coaching for. I think he's out anyway, but I think he's coaching for his job. I think he's probably going to get fired anyway. You can't have a losing record with this much talent in this crappy of a division. You just can't. So. No, I'm with you. I'd take Carolina. I'll play the number. I don't feel good about it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm with you. I would take Carolina or leave alone.
There you go. All right, late games. You've got Minnesota at the Raiders. Minnesota's a 3-point favorite on the road, 40.5-point total. It's a little bit strange here, Coop. I do like Minnesota in general. Dobbs has turned the ball over a bit lately. And the Raiders obviously had a good run, and then they kind of got beat down by Kansas City. But all the money's going to the Raiders, but this number is not moving, which is a little suspect. So this is the, shady line of the week here. I think that usually means when line's not moving, but the money's going, that means that maybe they're holding it at that three artificially. So I probably would pay, all my metrics tell me to take Minnesota because they're the better team. I think the Raiders are, I don't know, if they get 3.5, I think it was 3.5, got down to three, but it hasn't moved beyond off the three. So I don't know. I think you have to take the Raiders and the points at home. Ugh.
Oh yeah, this is my game of the week. I love the Raiders here. I love this spot for them. I obviously Minnesota's coming up. Actually, I think both these teams are coming off a bye now that I think about it. But
Yeah, they're both got
um, I think there's a lot of indecision at quarterback for the Vikings going into that bye. Like I think the last game we remember for the Vikings was that awful shit show they had on Monday night against the Bears. So there's probably not a lot of confidence in the quarterback position in that building right now. Obviously, they're getting Justin Jefferson back, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference. I love like I said, I like the Raiders here. They actually are still playing for something. I think they're actually excited to have Aiden O'Connell. They're trying to promote his development and see what they got in him. And I think that still gives them a reason to play, in my opinion, as opposed to the Vikings. Obviously, they're in playoff hunt, but I think at the end of the day, they all know that without Kirk Cousins, it's going to be a really uphill climb for them. So I like the Raiders here. I like them at home. I think they win. I think they win outright. You can maybe sprinkle a little hungry dog on this one. So
Ooh, a little springy.
yeah.
All right, what about the Seahawks at the 49ers? This is all the way up to 10.5 point favorite for 49ers, 46.5 point total. 49ers are coming at home. They're my top rated team. They're playing great. Seattle's going the wrong way, but that just means that it's too many points.
Yeah,
So
right.
San Francisco should lay the wood here, but it's like a sucker play. It's like 10.5. They're going to win by 10. It was kind of like we talked about last time. Remember, it was 7 last time, or 7.5 when they was at Seattle, and they covered easily. But I'm not saying they picked their foot off the gas pedal. They're going to win this football game. I'm not. I don't think Seattle's going to surprise anybody. But 10.5 is just too many points. So it's Seattle or pass, which they're definitely not in the top five for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like Seattle. They played pretty well last week. I thought like I said, I had them to beat the Cowboys. If you listened to my rant last week, which shout out to
Yeah.
it's too bad we weren't recording on YouTube. That'd have been really funny. But no, I mean, I'm still a little fresh, honestly, on that Seattle. It still hurts, but just to hear that, just even hear that name, brings up too many bad memories. So no, I don't like the hook here. I think 10 is the number. I think from that standpoint, Seattle is getting healthier. They their offensive line played pretty well last week against the Cowboys. So, um, I don't know if Kenneth Walker is going to play or not, but Seattle, like I said, I think it's to your point, 10.5 is too much. I think 10 is the number. So I'd play Seattle. I'd play the hook. See what we got.
All right, look at you. We're on the same side. This is scary.
Yeah,
You're taking
this
more
is scary.
dogs now. Feel bad. I feel like I changed you.
No, the pain changed me. That one hurt.
Okay. All right, let's talk about this game. This is a huge game in the AFC. Buffalo. Buffalo goes home if they lose this. This is basically the rest of the season for them at 6-6. Buffalo goes to Kansas City. The number now is 1.5 for Kansas City at home. 48.5 point total. It was 2.5 on the opener. So everybody's pounding Buffalo, which admittedly I was on that too. They were on my top five when it was at 2.5. Not that there's a huge difference in the number between 1.5 and 2.5, but I still like Buffalo here. I know that we're kind of bagging on Kansas City. We just saw Kansas City play like crap. So maybe we shouldn't think that way, kind of reverse psychology. But the bottom line is Buffalo, they let Josh Allen play. They should just let him just do his thing and they'll win, even though KC's defense has been pretty good. It's really just Buffalo. Can they hold up? And I don't think the offense can do it for Kansas City. So I like Buffalo to win this game outright.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with the hungry dog here. The Josh Allen has played really well in Arrowhead every time they've gone there. His worst game he's ever had was the first one he played, and he still had like 3 touchdowns and an interception in that game. So every other game he's played there, he's had 4 touchdowns. So I like you said, it's do or die for Buffalo. Kansas City's defense is really hurt. They got pretty banged up against the Packers the other night. I think they lost a Mike linebacker. They're down to like their 3rd string linebacker. And I think they lost another member of the secondary. So Buffalo's getting back to running the ball a little bit too, which I think is only helping Josh Allen, in my opinion. Get the play action going, you
Yep.
can get him moving. I think that helps a lot. Um, but yeah, I like Buffalo, man. They have to, like you said, they have to win this game to even keep, their hopes alive. To even make that last game of the season matter. So, um, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, everybody should probably go bet on Kansas City now since everybody else is taking
Yeah.
Buffalo. But, but no, I
Such a
like Buffalo this
podcast
week.
just line up against us. Yeah, no, I get
So
it. I see on your top. Well, that's good. Last game in the late window is Denver at the Chargers. The Chargers are laying 2.5 at home, 44.5, 44 point total. Man, this is a tough one. I don't love the Chargers. I mean, we've been on record that, I think Staley's going to get fired at some point here. But Denver's kind of been, I know you've been, I was dogging you about the Russell Wilson stuff. I'm sorry, I got a little salty there. But I just don't think they're that good football team, dude. I don't know. Denver turnover luck, I mean, that defense has played pretty good, I guess. But when you get +3 every week in turnovers, I know that's part of the defense. It's tough. So I can't. Well, I don't know. I'm teetering with the Chargers. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Chargers, their talent should win out." We've been saying this for like 7 years. The same damn thing. Why are they laying points? But it's 2.5 at home. I almost feel like the Chargers are a dog in this one because they're actually going to have the home crowd's going to be Denver fans. But so it's probably a perfect game to stay away from. But I actually kind of like the Chargers in this one.
see that if you go back, I reviewed some of the all 22 tape because you just said he played so bad, and I went back. He missed Jerry Jeudy twice in that game for 2 touchdowns. Like if you go back and watch, Jerry Jeudy is really running down the sideline by himself, and he's just looking at the other side of the field. He's making the wrong read, which that would have won the game, and then the other one obviously would have won the game too because they only lost by 4 or 5. So
Yep.
yeah, he's just not seeing the picture clearly right now, or at least he didn't last week. He's playing a little bit better before that, but I think
It
this
was
is the week that
Sierra's birthday last week, but Sierra's
yeah, that's
birthday. He had
probably
a
what
lot
it
to do.
was.
Expecting a baby. He's got a
It's
lot
probably
going
home.
on.
Yeah, he might have had a little too much to drink celebrating Ciara's birthday or something. But anyway, I think they bounce back this week. I think this game is more for Denver than it is for the Chargers. I think the Chargers might start to quit. I think this might be the week that they do start to quit. They only scored 6 points against the Patriots. They have Justin Herbert at quarterback. Like, come on. Like, are we serious? Like, honestly, if I was on that team, that would make me start to want to quit. Just 6-0. That's it. We could score 6 points. That's it. Like, who the hell are we supposed to beat if we can only score 6 points against the Patriots? So, I just think some of that trust and belief might start to leave the locker room. So I think Fun might start packing its shit and getting it together, maybe going out the door, maybe next week or so. So I like Denver here. We'll take Denver.
Yeah, we'll go opposite. It's okay. I mean, it's hard to back the Chargers. I mean, give me a break. They're the letdown team of the year. I mean, every year. So
this is the Pepto Bismol pick of the week. Honestly, that's what this game should be sponsored by.
Yeah, little pink in that stomach. Okay, so let's go to the primetime games. There's actually 3 this week, Coop. We've got first the Sunday night game, which is awesome. Philadelphia, well, 4, I know it's already passed, but 3 on the main ones, right? So Philadelphia, Dallas, and Dallas is a 3.5-point favorite, 52.5-point total. Look, it's the hook. We hate this. Jimmy Wegs, you always say road division dogs, 3.5. You should take the road dog. And I can see it's in your picks. There's no way. Dallas is a better football team. So I hate the 3.5, but screw it. Dallas they're gonna mess them up. It's not gonna be as bad as the 49ers beat up on them. Maybe they get a little bit of weaker rest as Philly, but Dallas wants this game bad. They've been awesome in Jerry World. I have to go Dallas or pass. There's no way. So they're actually in my top 5. I'm Dallas -3.5.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy is back in the facility, I think, today. By the way, he had a appendectomy yesterday, so shout out to Mike McCarthy. He's a real football guy. It has appendix removed, so shout out to him. Hope he's doing well. That's the only nice thing I'll say about Mike McCarthy. So I said some nice things about Mike McCarthy, but I love Philly here, and the reason I love Philly is because this team is supposed to be built and predicated on their offensive line play and how well they're supposed to be playing. And I think all that they've heard the last probably 5 days is how shitty they've been. Fun stat for you. Actually, Philly up to this point has had a total of 343 less rushing yards this year than what they did last year. Just to put that in perspective, that's about 30 yards less per game. Now you're going to be like, oh, what's 30 yards? What's that? I'm like, at the end of the game, the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, that's literally the game. Like they could ice the game away. So this team is predicated on, yeah, absolutely. So this team is predicated on throwing the ball to score, and at the end of the game, getting the ball and then just running it down your throat and ending it. So I think this week, I think Philly's going to flex them. They got it. That offensive line is going to have something to prove. They arguably are the best unit in football when they're playing at their best. They might be the most cohesive unit. I think they could take the game over. We kind of saw, like I said, we saw it last week with Seattle. Seattle was having no trouble moving the ball against Dallas. I think they figured something out. I think the only big thing that's going to hinder the Eagles here moving is just Jalen Hurts' health. I think that's the only thing that's really going to get in their way. If he's not obviously as mobile, that's going to be a big issue. But the hook is a big thing here, but I like the Eagles. I think I'd sprinkle a money line. Somebody's got to go into Jerry's World and win this year. And I mean, they just got embarrassed on national TV. So they just got their ass whooped in front of God and everybody. So they're going to come ready to play. And they're definitely motivated. They don't want to, have a tied division going into the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So
I know. Well, full disclosure, I do have a Dallas ticket to win the division, so this is an important game for me too.
Here we go.
But even so, I just think, look, the metrics say it. Philly, here's what they say. You have to remember, most teams who lose the Super Bowl have the Super Bowl hangover, right? And people have been saying it, at least, like Michael Lombardi says it all the time. They're a Super Bowl hangover team for 50 minutes of the game. And then they play great at the end of the game. Last week, it was opposite. They played great in the first quarter and sucked the rest of the game. So they're only playing one quarter of football this year for whatever reason. Maybe they're fatigued. I do think Hurts is a little banged up. So I hear what you're saying. The numbers, you should take this number with Philly, but I just don't think they're the same team. I'm not saying Dallas is going to just, they're much better, but their offense is rolling. And look, they were 5 yards away from beating this team in Philly, and they're gonna want this one. So we'll be on opposite sides. No problem. Do it. Monday Night Football, we got two games. Here we go. This is a humdinger. We've got Tennessee at Miami, your squad, 13-point favorites at home, 46.5-point total. I'm not saying this schedule is easy, but my God, the last 3 weeks they played nobody. So it's Miami or pass. Miami or pass, they're just going to destroy this team. I don't know if it's, Will Levis in the gun show, maybe he does something to surprise us early, but I do think Miami's going to win this game, and I can't take the Titans, even though the Fighting Vrabel should do something. In Miami, forget about it. Tyreek Hill will have a good game, and more importantly, they're going to run on Tennessee too. So I'll take they're not in my top 5, but I would lay the 13.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think they're going to run them. I think this is going to be the display of Miami's running game. So I think they're going to they basically got a full stable now. A-Chain is back, Mostert's back, Jeff Wilson's back. They're getting healthy in that position at the right time. And I think this year, as opposed to last year, I think Mike McDaniel actually has confidence in their ability to run the football. Hopefully they employ that more going down the stretch, because I'm telling you right now, if they want to beat teams with good records, this team has to run the football. We saw it against Kansas City, in the second half when they started to run the football. They're a completely different team. It's a completely different offense when you have to respect their run game, because it just helps that speed to even take over even more. So now I'm with you. We talked about their schedule, when they played Philly, we knew after that loss, I think I told you they were going to go 4 or 5-0. Like they had literally nothing until the Cowboys. So, hopefully they show up and cover, just keep the bus kind of moving along. I don't anticipate them having too much trouble. And hopefully they get to keep Tua healthy. That's something I'm worried about now, just because everybody else's quarterback keeps getting hurt. So I'm like, all right, just keep Tua healthy and we'll have a chance, honestly. So, yeah, I think it's Miami or pass here.
All right. Last game, Green Bay at the Giants. The Green Bay's on the verge of the playoffs, as we kind of mentioned before. They're playing pretty good. It's up to 7 in the marketplace. I think that's what it is. It's circa 1 second. So let's see, Giants. Where are you?
Yeah, I have 7
circa 6.5. So it's actually a better line at circa, because they kind of anticipate some buyback here. I like. This is crazy. I can't believe it. I think Packers are playing good football. I've said that for a few weeks. I know you've been dogging me. I think they're playing pretty good football. 37-point total is pretty low. I like the Fighting Tommy DeVitos here. A lot of people say they're going to give up, and I think they're probably right. But I don't know. Should Green Bay be laying this many points on the road? I don't care who they're playing. I'll take the dog in this one. And they're actually in my top 5 for the Giants.
Yeah, no, I went back and forth on my 4 picks because I'm with you. I think the Giants, the Giants might win this game outright. Honestly, and the only reason why I think that is kind of like in college. They have that big emotional win. Like they just had arguably the biggest win they've had
Sure.
since Aaron Rodgers was under center. So there might be a little bit of that emotional hangover. I could see that definitely happening. They might be overlooking this game. It's the Giants. It's Tommy DeVito. They're trash. They're just looking ahead. So this is a young football team in the Packers. So I could see them kind of getting wrapped up maybe a little bit in that. If they don't, shame on me. And I think it's more credit to Matt LaFleur than anything. But no, I'm with you. I like the 7 here. I like the Giants. They should be able to run the ball, which will neutralize that Green Bay pressure. And actually, Pacheco had a good night running the ball against them last week in Lambeau. I mean, he ran for over 100. So if they can get that, and Tommy can make a couple good throws, that game it could very easily go the Giants' way. So no, I'm with you. I think they're a little bit the Giants are kind of a poor man's Packers in a way, in a really twisted way. But yeah, no, I like the G-men here.
Yeah, Tommy's got first Monday Night Football start. Come on, what could go wrong? I mean, please, be
they're
great.
gonna have harm the night before, so they'll be fine.
All right, so my top 5 have just amended. So we've got Baltimore minus 7.5, Dallas minus 3.5, the Bears plus the 3, the Giants plus 6.5, and I'm going to go Houston minus 3.5 as my 5th pick. What do you got for the Beaver Nation?
Yeah, the Beaver Nation, shout out. So we have the Rams. We're going to take them at plus 7.5. We're going to take the Raiders at plus 3. We've got Buffalo at 1.5, and we're going to take Philly at 3.5. So we're running with the Hungry Dog parlay this weekend because it's
you're
4
going
dogs. That's 4 dogs for you. So a dog.
I don't mind the Raiders pick. I know, I do like Buffalo too. So I'm not totally against it. 2 of them were against each other, but that's good. So obviously, I'm still at the holiday party. I'm going to miss the big karaoke night tonight. I'll be back tomorrow for a different holiday party. And what's going on? We're going to the Bears game Sunday. So you're going to sing tonight? Did you pick out your song yet?
Yeah, I thought we were going to do "We Are Family," but I guess you're not going to be there. So yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Look at you.
So I guess I'm going to figure out my solo.
You
Yeah, I know. Well, you should. Again, you're always in Philly. I see where your priorities are. We are wow, words are hard. We are your responsibility too. So to get this family and this whole step family. Trying to be in 2 places
I
at
was
once.
with everybody last week when you were with your grandfather. I mean, come on, I didn't talk to your grandpa. And he was for his 80th, man. But I was out with the crew twice at Holiday Club.
Anyway. I can't win them all, but yeah, we have. I think that's tonight. Was it My Buddies? I think. Yeah, I think that's at My Buddies.
My Buddies.
So, should be a good time. And obviously we have volleyball Saturday, so that'll be good. And then yeah, we have. I'm still debating on whether I want to go to the Bears game or not because it's going to be cold as shit, and there's so many other games that I want to watch. I'm having a hard time debating on that. So. I figured parking there is. I don't know if you know. Is parking a nightmare? I figured like going there and getting out of there is just a disaster.
Well, so here's the thing about parking. If you choose, you should just get there early and tailgate.
Yeah.
And you can park in the south lots, like you go down past McCormick 31st Street lot, and there's a ton of people tailgating. It's a fun time. And all you do is after the game, you tailgate a little more. You wait till everybody leaves. If not, just take the red line down, dude. Just take the red line down to Roosevelt, and it's about a 1.5 mile walk to the stadium. It's not bad. So, it's a long walk back after you've been drinking, but it's pretty easy to get in and out if you're walking. If you're driving, then you're gonna, it's a little bit more of a hassle. But just stay a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to have you drink and drive, but my point is, goof around, throw the football around after the Bears win. Goof around, and hey, here you go.
Well, then I also have one of those power converters where you can plug in to like the cigarette lighter of your car, and it's got a couple outlets. So I thought about tailgating and taking like the TV down and just having it in the back of the car. We can just sit there and watch football. I can just cast it from my phone. So I thought about doing that.
People do that all the time. I mean, I'm telling you, if you go to 31st Street lot, you got guys with full setups, big tents, gigantic TVs. It's like you're in a sports bar down there. But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm meeting the attorneys probably at a bar, and hopefully they're picking up all the tabs, so we're good. They
Yeah,
charge us
you're a
enough
big
money.
shot.
Steven's
Yeah, I keep forgetting that
right.
you're big time. You're big. I keep forgetting. Just don't forget about us little people. When you're out there frolicking among the elites, if you will.
When you get invited to the December game, you know that you're on the top of the list.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, especially when it's the Lions are in town.
right, exactly. Well, hey, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegsville on Twitter and on Instagram.
And you can check me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on Twitter at Mr. Grumpy Gills, of course, the one and only. Again, we are the Side Action Pod. Thanks for checking us out. You check us out on Instagram and Twitter as well at Side Action Pod. And until next week, we are back together like next week, right? Like this isn't some
Yeah, we'll
virtual
do it
show
on
forever.
Friday because I have the happy hour on Thursday, so we'll do a Friday session, you and I in person. So I miss you. I miss you, pal.
Nice.
Miss
Yeah,
you.
I know, right? Where's are we doing our happy hour at the bring it in. Anyway, are we doing our happy hour at the place we did last time? Is this a different happy hour place?
Different place, Randolph Tavern. That's it's Randolph and Wells, maybe. It's in
Okay.
it's in the loop, but it's not the West Loop. It's in the loop itself. But
Ah,
yeah, it's a good spot. I do that I do the holiday place there every time. So holiday happy.
gotcha. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. I'll have the Santa hat. Don't worry. We still got like 2 more
Oh,
weeks of
please.
Santa hat. So yeah.
Of course, you got to have that. So
Yeah, right.
all right, pal. Well,
Well,
we'll,
there
we'll
it is.
talk soon. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys.